These alcohol stoves are not very reliable. They keep blowing out. I think there's a better option, and I'm going to show you. All right, so this is our rocket stove. Very easy to cook with, and all you need to do is add some twigs to it. And if you have a fire kit, which is what I use, cotton balls and Vaseline, just, you know, it doesn't have to be Vaseline, but some kind of petroleum product, that will start this thing up right away. And just, you know, pull it out, make sure there's a little bit inside there. Add this to the bottom, break up the sticks, and I get, you know, a nice long branch, so I have plenty of little pieces to put in here. Now, it rained the last several days, including as recently as about 3 hours ago, so everything's a little bit wet. Definitely nice having this cotton ball kit with Vaseline. So that's a small but really profoundly important item to have in your fire kit or nutrition kit. Have a few of these. They cost you almost nothing, and they can mean the difference between you being able to boil your water, cook your food, or not. So we're gonna put this on here. We have our meat thermometer inside, and we're going to light it. And that's going to get going in a moment once it ignites the petroleum jelly. And once it dries those sticks out enough, we'll have some fire. And the great thing about this is that you can just feed the sticks in through here. The bottom does not get very hot. It gets warm but not hot. So you can put it on a tablecloth like this. So here's another problem with just storing water. This is an emergency water packet. The expiration date is this year, October 2022. Now, it's probably gonna be okay for a little bit longer than that, but these packages will break down. And I took some video of some more waters that I've found, the 1 gallon blocks that have completely failed. The bottom has just deteriorated, and the water, about 90% of it leaked out. And that's not just bad for the obvious reasons, because you don't have water. It's bad because it warped the shelf. And then you have other supplies on that shelf in your emergency cabinet, and now those are possibly compromised if they get water into them, or the shelf collapses and they all get crushed. So it does put out kind of a lot of smoke that's from the oils in the branches, but you can see here, you get a nice fire going, and then it just becomes like a little incinerator. Okay, so what we're doing is purifying the water. But what I recommend you do first is you get the water through a filter. So what you would do if you had a ketadine filter like this is you bring it down to the creek and you bring this with you. This could be your dirty water. I wouldn't, you know, it's not ideal. You should have a separate container just for the non-potable water and the potable, but in this case, we're boiling it after we filter it, so it's going to be filtered, because we take the water out of the creek, out of the river, out of the pond, koi pond, we pass it through this filter. That's going to get rid of the water-borne physical particles, and not the viruses though. The viruses have to be purified out. Take this, bring your water cube, your water block, fill that. That's always for non-potable water. And then you bring that to your camp, and then you just fill this periodically. Every time somebody wants water, you boil it, maybe you keep a fire going. You know, once you get this thing going, it'll burn as long as you have sticks, basically forever. And there's no shortage of fuel around here. All right, so after I boil my water, I'm gonna cook steak. And I know these guys are happy, these dogs down here. So the Purify water is the one that I recommend you store. I don't recommend the alcohol stove as much, but it is good to store some alcohol. You know, that's a good way to store alcohol in a small container that you can use from multiple other sources. You know, if you have to use a cotton ball instead of starting a fire, you can use that for, you know, antiseptic to just help to sterilize a wound. It's not ideal, but it's certainly better than nothing. Okay, so We wanted the target, see, you can see here, 158 degrees. This thing is roasting. I hope I don't melt that thermometer, but now it's at 166, 167, 169. So you see why I'm using this wireless meat thermometer. You can hear the water boiling now, 173. You see how quickly this is boiling. If we really want to make it cook even faster, just keep adding some of that biomass in, biofuels. We have an unlimited amount of fuels around here just by virtue of how many branches there are, how many fallen twigs and sticks. Basically an unlimited amount of fuel. Otherwise, you have to carry in that camp fuel, you have to carry out the empty canisters, and that's if you're camping. If it's an emergency, that's not as much of an issue as the litter is the issue of how much fuel do you have and what happens when you're out. It's better to use an inexhaustible resource like solar, like USB instead of matches, like biofuel instead of fuel. Oh, it says ouch, too hot, turn the heat down, get an alert on my watch telling me I'm burning my water. Wow, 212 degrees internal temperature, 212 degrees inside right now. That is a rolling boil. That is killing any bacteria that's in there. Hopefully it didn't kill my meat thermometer. Okay, so I didn't kill my meat thermometer, that's good. The water has definitely been boiled down a bit. But let's do this again and I'll leave it open so you can see that the water is actually reaching a rolling boil. All right, so if you don't have a meat thermometer, because chances are you're not gonna likely have a Bluetooth-based wireless meat thermometer in the wild. But if you're going camping, it's not hard to foresee what you're gonna need, and you're gonna need a meat thermometer, and might as well bring one of these so you can get an alert through Bluetooth when your meat is about to be done. It cooks perfectly. It's a pretty cool device. If anybody wants to know what it is, let me know. I'll put a link in it. I just assume nobody cares. And you can get this thing going real hot if you just feed in progressively larger sticks and twigs. You gotta start small. If it's too big, it won't burn, but watch how quickly this thing ignites. And break them up, pretty small. All right, so life straw, that's another one that is pretty popular, but here's why I don't like it. There's a few reasons. So you have to bring this down to the water source, and it's really impractical to go down to the river, put your face down there, have the risk of the water splashing up on you. You don't know what's in it. If you can bring the water back and then just put this, in the cup, drink out of it, that's a lot better. So this is not a water purifier. This is a filter. Now they say most river water in North America doesn't need to be purified. That's according to the maker of this Survivor filter, but that's up to you whether you want to trust that or not. So if you're going to use this, it's a nice thing to have in your car, better than nothing. If you're gonna melt snow, you can filter the water, but you're not purifying the water. So boiling the water is one way to purify it. That's ideal. If you don't have that, then a Steripan that uses UV light. The UV light, after 1 minute, will kill almost all of the bacteria in there. So you stir it until the LED turns solid. This will treat 1 liter at a time. So it's water activated. Now, I know I'm not supposed to put this in hot water, but when you put it in water, it's automatic, and then it turns on. And then the light will turn green. I don't think you can see it on the camera, but the great thing about this is it's infinitely rechargeable through USB. So it's not one of those once and done gizmos like having just water tablets would be. You do need to be mindful that you don't get this thing damaged. It's glass, it's pretty delicate. And let's keep an eye on our fire here. We don't want to lose this, but you can see how it's steaming. Water's just about to boil. Put a few more. So this can also be an alcohol stove if you just add alcohol to your stove. That will get a flame going real fast. Now, another device that I really like is this Nalgene Epic water filter. So Epic water filters, they buy the Nalgene bottle and then they put in their filter, and it's a no-brainer. The water goes in, it comes out through the filter. There's nowhere for it to go other than up through the filter and the straw. So it removes what they say is, you know, the 6 nines, the 99.9999% of freshwater contaminants, and it's, you know, designed to be used in just about every water source that's out in the wild up north, unless it's super contaminated. So this one says it removes 200 plus freshwater contaminants, replaces 750 water bottles, plastic water bottles, and you need a water bottle anyway. Might as well have this extra protection. That's a water filter, not a purifier, okay? So there's a survival filter. They say that it is a water filter and a purifier. It has a carbon filter in it, has a pre-filter. So it has, you know, an ultra filter, a carbon filter, a pre-filter. And the great thing about this one is that it's self-powered. It has the ability to run off of a power bank or from 2 AA batteries, which I recommend you use rechargeable. And then you can recharge the batteries, or you can just recharge the power bank through solar and have unlimited power for this thing. So you're not having to pump, it's just automated. Now, another way to purify water is with water purification tablets, and that kills the viruses, the other things. But these have a shelf life, they will expire, and they will be used up. And then once it's used up, it's done. So you don't have any ability to purify water again. So I would recommend that you get a system like this. I really like the Survivor Pro, water purifier supposedly, but at least a water filter. And then if you want to take the extra precaution, use your UV sterilization pen, or your water purification tablets, or you boil the water.